The Poltava and Imperatritsa Mariya are Russia's two top dreadnoughts in Update 2.1 New Power. Not only are they the top ships in the Russian tree, they are also blatantly the most overpowered dreadnoughts in all of War Thunder, and by a very wide margin. So, just how busted are they? First, a bit of history on both ships and their respective classes. Poltava was one of 4 Gangut class battleships, which was Russia's first class of dreadnought. She was laid down in 1909 and commissioned in 1914. In World War I, she guarded the Gulf of Finland, but never saw direct action in the war. Poltava suffered a major fire in 1919 and was struck from the naval list in 1940. In 1941, Poltava was intentionally grounded so that the Germans couldn't sink her somewhere inconvenient for the Russians, and then was eventually refloated in 1944 and scrapped in 1946. Imperatritsa Mariya, or Maria as I'll call her from now on for brevity, was the lead ship of a dreadnought class sharing her name, and there were 2 others in the class. Mariya was laid down in 1911 and commissioned in 1915. During World War I, she provided cover for other Russian ships as they bombarded Ottoman positions. An internal fire in 1916 caused a detonation of her frontal powder magazine, permanently putting the ship out of commission and leading to her eventual scrapping in 1926. In War Thunder, both Poltava and Mariya have the same primary armament: 12 305mm 52 caliber pattern 1907 guns split into 4 centerline turrets. Poltava has 2 facing forward and 2 facing back, while Mariya has 3 facing forward and 1 facing back. These cannons have a fire rate of just under 2 shells per minute, with a reload speed of 33 seconds, an almost imperceivable difference from the average 30-second reload of most of the other dreadnoughts. Their dispersion is also identical to the guns of the other dreadnoughts. The pattern 1907 guns get 3 shell types: HE, AP, and SAP. The HE shell is alright, serving as a relatively average HE shell, though it gets totally eclipsed by the later SAP shell. The AP shells have good penetration and filler, but again, are eclipsed by the superior SAP shell. With an absolutely absurd filler of 55.2 kilograms of TNT, the SAP shell is easily the most destructive shell on any vehicle in War Thunder. Not only does it have great damage after penetration, but the penetration itself isn't bad at all for an SAP shell. This is easily the best shell on the ship, and the best shell in naval, by a very wide margin. SAP should always be used by default, with AP occasionally being used against significantly tankier dreadnoughts when going for ammo detonations, at ranges where the SAP won't penetrate their armor. For secondaries, Poltava and Mariya have different loadouts, though they're pretty similar in performance. Poltava carries 16 120mm casemate cannons at 14 RPM, 2 75mm cannons at 10 RPM, and a single 47mm cannon at 30 RPM. Mariya has 20 130mm casemate cannons at 16 RPM, and 4 75mm cannons at 10 RPM. On Poltava's 20mm, the SAP shell is a direct upgrade to the HE shell, having both more explosive filler and penetration. For Mariya's 130mm, the HE is best used against unarmored targets, while the SAP is effective against ships up to cruisers with medium armor. Both are pretty effective at dealing damage to nearby ships while the main guns reload, serving as the best dreadnought secondaries without contest. The 75mm cannons also have timed fuse shells, which makes them a surprisingly effective anti-air weapon. The 47mm Hotchkiss gun on the Poltava isn't great, however the operator deserves a medal for bravery for having the guts to sit on top of a triple 12-inch cannon turret in an active combat zone with a dinner plate-sized frag shield and an 1880s cannon. Last for the armament of Poltava and Mariya is 4 submerged torpedo launchers, with 2 to port and 2 to starboard, each with 2 reloads, for a total of 12 torpedoes. These torpedoes are very average, only serving as a finisher for battleships up close, and not much more. Next, onto survivability. Poltava has a crew of 1,125, while Mariya has a crew of 1,300. Both have incredibly good belt coverage and relatively thick armor, with Poltava having a 225mm belt and Mariya having a 279mm belt. Both also have coal bunkers around their midsections, soaking up lots of damage from penetrations. Last comes a 50mm turtleback scheme on both ships, which can catch most armor-piercing shells that manage to penetrate both the belt and coal bunkers. The only real weakness is the front and back ammo storage for the casemates on Mariya being above the waterline, but even then, that doesn't tend to be a huge issue. Overall, both have incredible protection, with Mariya debatably being the best protected dreadnought in War Thunder. The only ship that even gets close is Westfallen, but the significantly higher damage output of Mariya easily puts it ahead in overall effectiveness. Last comes mobility. Poltava is the fastest dreadnought in game at 43 km per hour, while Mariya is average at 39 km per hour. Neither is meaningfully different from any other dreadnought in game. For overall playstyle, Poltava and Mariya are simply the best dreadnoughts in game, and the only ones with guns that are particularly consistent and effective. Cruisers are effectively helpless against Poltava and Mariya, and other dreadnoughts fall behind them in damage output and survivability by a wide margin. To play them, just spawn in and start shooting. Try to get in close, using the turtleback armor scheme to survive enemy fire and tear them apart with primary fire to their ammunition racks, or overwhelming secondary fire to tear apart their crew. Even poor hits are likely to detonate ammunition racks and light massive fires, while getting any SAP shells near a main ammo rack is effectively an insta-kill. The main threat comes from aircraft, though Poltava and Mariya are above average against aircraft anyway, as it takes very large explosive ordnance to actually put them down. Really, there's not too much to say for playstyle. Both ships are just blatantly better than their competition, so there's not very much to give advice on. As for which to unlock first, Mariya is better overall, cheaper, and unlockable right after researching Tier 3, where to get the Poltava, you need to research the Sverdlov. It's really a no-brainer pick between the two. For modification order, I would recommend toolset, fire protection equipment, 12-inch SAP pattern 1911, rudder replacement, 130 or 120mm SAP depending on the ship, shrapnel protection, ventilation, propeller replacement, ammo wetting, and engine maintenance. For crew skills, it's the same as always. Prioritize leadership, main caliber reload speed, crew interchangeability, fire prevention, and ship control. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more naval content.